Today we'll talk about whether or not it's a good idea to roll your 401k into an IRA. Many of us will change jobs multiple times in our careers, and if we've been contributing to a retirement plan where we work, it's only natural to wonder what the best options are for managing that account since we won't be making contributions to it any longer. Now, if we elect to do nothing, we may accumulate multiple employer-sponsored retirement plans over the years, leaving us with a cumbersome management issue as we approach retirement. Now, thankfully, rollovers are a convenient way to manage retirement assets both during and after our working years. Today, I'll discuss when you can and can't roll over an employer-sponsored retirement account, where you can roll it to, and why you should or shouldn't do that. And as we walk through this, I will primarily comment on 401k plans, but rollover rules are basically the same for 403bs, 457s, and thrift savings plans as well. So when can you roll over a 401k? First, if you're still working for the employer who sponsors the retirement plan you're wanting to roll over, then you have to reach out to them for guidance or check out your summary plan description. Unfortunately, only about 30% of 401k plans offer in-service withdrawals, so odds are you won't be able to roll funds from your plan at work into an IRA until after your employment ends. Now, once you're no longer working, you can make a rollover at any time. This includes termination and retirement. I'll explain why you may or may not want to move this money out of an old 401k in just a minute. So now that you know the options for when you can roll over a 401k, now you need to know where to roll it to. If you want to roll money out of a 401k and into another tax-advantaged retirement account, you basically have two options. If you're moving from one employer to another, you can typically roll the money from your old 401k plan into the new one. At least I've never heard of a plan that wouldn't allow a rollover from a previous employer. The other and more common option is to roll your 401k plan into an IRA. You'll have to select a plan custodian before navigating some paperwork to move the money into the IRA, but it's not that challenging to do as it's an everyday occurrence for the companies that operate IRAs. So now let's give some reasons why you should roll over a 401k to an IRA. There's several. First is access to better investments. I've completed a few rollovers as I've changed jobs several times in my career, and the primary motivation each time was to control the assets in the plan. Only once have I participated in a 401k plan that had what I would consider an adequate variety of investment options with reasonable fees. The fact is, the investment companies that operate your company's 401k are in it for the profitability these plans provide. Since 401k plans give them a semi-captive group of investors, there's not a lot of incentive to keep fees low unless the employer does a good job of negotiating this on behalf of their employees. And unless there's a large pool of plan participants, your employer is going to run into resistance negotiating for lower cost investments because the custodians rely on these fees for their profits. So if you're at a smaller company, odds are the fees that accompany your investment options will be higher than if you were working at a larger company. However, moving to an IRA allows you to select the plan custodian and the investments you want as opposed to being limited to the small list of options that are available in a 401k. It may also be true that the 401k plan at your new job is superior to your old plan, making a rollover to the new plan a viable option as well. The second reason to roll a 401k to an IRA is easier management. I'm sure you've heard of a broadly diversified portfolio before. Portfolio diversification is a critical step for reducing risk and producing steady returns for your investments. Naturally, the fewer accounts your retirement assets sit in, the easier it is to manage all of your investments as one single strategic portfolio. This is the primary reason many retirees move their old 401k plans into an IRA upon retirement. It's just easier to manage this way. But this is also true if you've changed jobs multiple times and have a collection of old 401k plans that are either a challenge to keep an eye on or you just don't bother to check on them at all. There are a few other reasons to roll a 401k into an IRA. First, you're probably not going to get great service from a plan you're not contributing to any longer. After you leave an old employer, you're really just a cost for them since you aren't adding any new money into the account. They'll never say it outright, but they may prefer that you just move the money to an IRA. Another is that some companies will offer incentives for you to roll your old 401k into their IRA. While that may be true, I wouldn't let this be the sole consideration for selecting an IRA custodian. Also, your heirs have up to 10 years to fully liquidate an IRA, but if you leave money in a 401k in your estate, they may be forced by the custodian to take a full distribution at one time. This makes tax planning a bit more challenging for your heirs. And finally, as I've already pointed out, 401k plans can have unique rules. The rules for IRAs are much more standardized, making them more predictable and easier to understand. Now let's talk about a couple reasons why you shouldn't roll a 401k over to an IRA. The first one is a backdoor Roth IRA. The best case I can make for not rolling an old 401k into an IRA is because it will probably make the backdoor Roth IRA strategy much more difficult to execute. In case you're a little rusty on the details, the backdoor Roth IRA is a method people can use to direct money into a Roth IRA who would otherwise be ineligible because of their income. By putting after-tax dollars into an IRA and then promptly converting them to a Roth, investors can avoid the income restrictions that apply to Roth IRA accounts. Now, a major hurdle to this strategy is the pro rata rule, which requires you to account for all IRA assets on a pro rata or proportional basis when calculating the taxes owed for Roth conversions. So if you have a large tax-deferred IRA balance, using the backdoor plan will probably come with significant taxes. And there isn't much that will inflate your IRA quicker than a rollover from a 401k. So if you think you may want to use the backdoor Roth strategy in the future, a 401k rollover may not be in your best interest. Another reason not to roll over is legal protection. In many states, the legal protections afforded to 401k plans are better than those provided for IRAs. This means you could inadvertently make your 401k vulnerable to a lawsuit if you roll it into an IRA, but it does depend on the state. If you have questions about this, you should see an attorney that's familiar with the laws of your state. The final thing I want to talk about is doing rollovers the right way. If your 401k plan administrator sends a check directly to you for your rollover to an IRA, you'll have 60 days to get those funds into your IRA before it is considered a distribution. And that could be bad for a couple of reasons. First, any tax-deferred portions of your 401k will be subject to income tax. The bigger your 401k, the bigger the tax. Another reason this is potentially bad is because if you're under age 59 and a half when you get the check, you'll owe a 10% penalty for the amount of the distribution. So if you're in the 24% tax bracket and you accidentally take a distribution, you'll pay 34% of that in taxes and penalties back to Uncle Sam. If you'd rather not give the government 1/3 of your 401k, try to do a direct rollover instead. In a direct rollover, your 401k plan administrator will send a check directly to your IRA custodian, meaning you never receive it, meaning there's no danger of penalties or taxes. With all this said, your 401k plan administrator may be a total jerk and refuse to send it to anyone but you. This may or may not have happened to me recently. If that's the case, just be sure you're very clear giving instructions about how the check should be issued and where it needs to go after you receive it. In most cases, rolling your old 401k to an IRA is going to make sense. Hopefully this information was helpful to you and you can use it as you navigate the decision yourself. For more information about IRAs and 401ks, I recommend checking out our website or our playlist, which I'll link down in the description below. As always, I'm grateful for your interest and your time watching my videos. God bless and take care.